Hey guys, we're back with some Skyblock on Hypixel. Not exactly the greatest game, I know. Not everyone likes to watch these kinds of videos on Hypixel Skyblock because they're not exactly enticing or enjoyable to watch. The only time I can imagine someone would ever want to watch one of these videos is if they're trying to find information on how to do something or whatever. I'm just kind of giving an update video, I guess, because I'm bored and I feel like making one. So, as you can tell already from my first video that I actually made, this base has been improved quite heavily. I actually have ended up making this thing up here. I know it looks kind of odd, but this is just how I have it set up. I have a huge melon farm. I'm sure a lot of people probably do the same thing I do. Melons make you a pretty significant amount of money. And if you use Silk Touch, you can get 5 stacks of melons, put them into a crafting table, and you can get a bunch of enchanted melons like that. Or you could get just a regular axe without Silk Touch and start cutting everything down. Once you get enough harvesting levels, you can actually start to get a tremendous amount of melons just from one melon. Whereas Silk Touch doesn't really do that, but Silk Touch is easily 10 times faster, so that's how I do it. You'll also notice that when I open my inventory, there's something kind of new here, because last time I made a video, I was wearing lapis armor. And back then, when you had lapis armor, that was actually considered pretty good. But now it's not, and there are a ton of melons in here for whatever reason. I also have a ton of talismans, all set to itchy, so I can increase my crit damage. Because that actually helps a lot. I went from having a base damage of about 20 to having a base damage of about 30 just by putting some talismans in my inventory. So these are all my current ones. I have a few good ones, but most of them are just common, which aren't that good. But the higher end talismans and accessories are usually really expensive. And even though I have like 1.3 million coins, which is pretty significant in my eyes, but to some people it's kind of puny because obviously everyone's really good at this game now. I don't really feel like spending $500,000 just for 2 talismans so I can get 16 bonus crit damage. That just doesn't feel like a very worthwhile investment. And so what I've been doing a lot recently is instead I've been going to the end and trying to fight dragons in hopes that I can get fragments or possibly armor if I manage to do enough damage to the dragon, so I could sell those or keep them depending on how good the dragon armor actually is, because there's only a select few sets that actually have good set bonuses. The other ones are kind of just crap. I guess Hypixel added those just to try and make it feel more diverse. I'm not really sure, but there's probably about 3 or 2 sets that are actually good, maybe 4, I don't know. Obviously, they all have different uses. Some of them have speed bonuses, some of them have damage bonuses, some of them have defense, some of them have health. Others have strength bonuses and stuff like that. Alright, hold on. Let me just go ahead and sell these melons over here and make some quick cash. Yay, 5 grand, that's epic, huh? Now I have 1.358 million. Yeah. I actually don't really understand how people are able to make 50 million in just a few days. If I were to even try and attempt something as ridiculous as that, I would fail miserably. It would take me months to get 50 million coins. I don't know how they do it. Like, sometimes I hear people saying things like, sugarcane farms are obviously really good apparently. I don't really know, because I did the math, and even if you had a 16 by 16 chunk farm with a harvesting 5 hoe, you would make less than you would with a full melon farm, even with a Silk Touch, because each time I harvest my melons I get about 110,000 coins, which is not a huge amount, but even with the harvesting 5 hoe and a 16 by 16 chunk farm of sugarcane, you would make just over 80 or 90,000. So I'm not really sure why people are convinced sugarcane is better than the same melons, especially when you can mine melons just as fast, if not faster than sugarcane, and more accurately. So anyway, I'm also going to be talking about how my first video was kind of weird, and I don't exactly know what I was doing with that video, because at the time I was convinced that when you go into the lapis quarry, you actually make quite a bit of experience if you have the experience bottles. The experience bottles, basically. You had the grand, you had the regular, and then you had the titanic. The Titanic were obviously insanely hard to get, and they're still worth a ton of money because obviously people are very worried about enchantments now. That's basically how you do damage. If you don't have any enchantments, you're kind of screwed because the best weapons only do like 200 to 300 damage at max. Even if you add like 10 potato bugs onto it, it still does pretty bad damage unless you start adding enchantments. So, okay, let me first talk about my first video I made. I don't know why I was convinced the Lapis Core was good, because even if you manage to get a bunch of grand experience bottles there, it doesn't exactly give you a whole lot of XP. I feel like a better way to get XP now would either to be going into the Emerald. If you're not exactly late game yet, you're still mid game, so you're obviously not the best. You could go to the Emerald area, the Slime Hill, and you wear Lapis armor, and that basically increases the amount of experience orbs you get. I'm pretty sure most of you guys might have known that. Or you could go into the Diamond Reserve / Obsidian Sanctuary, depending on how good you are at the game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people could probably survive there pretty easily now, considering everyone has like 1,000 health there. Sometimes if people don't exactly have a whole lot of health, but one thing's for sure, I don't have like a whole lot of health actually. Without my armor, I don't have actually very much health, and people are saying that like the Emerald set is really bad. You can see that I have 819,000 in my collection. To max out the Emerald set, you need a total of 900,000, which would give you 600 bonus defense and health, along with however much base health and defense you actually have. And you can increase that with fairy souls and stuff like that. I'm pretty convinced I got most of the fairy souls actually, but there are definitely a few that I missed in the Nether and maybe 1 or 2 in the overworld, but I haven't gotten any of the new ones from the end, and I think there's 12 of them. So now there's closer to 180, almost 190 fairy souls that you can actually get. It's pretty insane now because the health starts stacking up the health starts to stack up a lot after you start getting enough fairy souls. And unlike the first video where I had a bunch of Lapis minions, I have instead converted over to Emerald minions. Because now that I have the full set, I can sell all my enchanted emeralds for a huge amount of money. Every time I log on, it's like 100,000 coins. But that's if their inventories are mostly full, and I have these medium storages for all of them. I'm hoping to at one point get enchanted lava, maybe, because that increases their speed production or whatever by 25% for an unlimited time. So that's definitely gonna help, but it's like 200 grand for each lava bucket. I don't feel like investing hours of my life into getting a few buckets. I feel like buying them from the auction house is not only a lot quicker, but a lot more efficient. So recently, Hypixel Skyblock has not really been adding a whole lot of features. I understand that they're probably going to be adding some kind of dungeon update soon, after they added the end a few months ago. Actually, I think it was just last month that they added the end biome, which is pretty helpful, obviously. It's way better than the Nether area. The Nether area doesn't really provide much except for an Ember Rod, which hardly sells for anything nowadays. But I'm starting to wonder, like, what would the dungeon update be? Are they just going to add a whole new portal or whatever somewhere in the end, or somewhere in some different biome that you can go to and there are just dungeons everywhere with spawners or whatever? Or is it going to be some kind of raid system where you raid dungeons and they spawn or activate every once in a while? I'm not exactly sure how that might work, and that might be why the update is taking so long, because it's possible Hypixel Skyblock, the makers behind Hypixel, could be experimenting with different play styles or types of dungeon, add variations or whatever. I don't know what's going on. I don't exactly check up on the patch notes either. Like this Jerry guy over here, he never has anything new except for like one patch note every few months. Like, it goes from 2nd of August to 10th of September, and then apparently they have obviously bug fixes and stuff. No one really weird glare. I don't know how to fix it, man. I go into full screen and it totally messes up the whole thing. But for some reason, when I'm in small screen, it doesn't. But obviously, the window is tiny when it's not in full screen. So can't do that. That would just be weird. The resolution would be absolutely terrible. We're not out here with 480p. Actually, I don't know. I might be. This is not the greatest resolution of all time at all. I still don't have recording software, and I probably never will because I don't really care enough to buy some kind of high-end, recording software so I can edit really nice videos, and I don't feel like buying a $170 microphone either because that's just way expensive, man. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. See you later.